What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And I wanted to do a video about one thing. And that is this hipster, hippie kind of philosophy that a lot of wrestling fans have, right? There is a greater issue of this that's happening more broadly, right? I've talked about it before. You and your friends might be talking about who the best quarterback of all time is. And someone says Tom Brady, someone says Joe Montana. Someone might even say Patrick Mahomes. That's an acceptable answer now. And then some asshole will come out of nowhere and will be like, I think it's, fucking, what's the guy from the Eagles? Donovan McNabb. They'll be like, I think it's Donovan McNabb, right? And you're like, dude, it's not Donovan McNabb. Like, it obviously isn't, you know what I mean? So that's the same thing that happens with wrestling, right? Wrestling fans have this weird desire to like things that suck, right? It's very strange, right? It's like they can give you John Cena, the Tom Brady of wrestling, let's say, right? And people will be like, nah, I think the real star of the team is Julian Edelman. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? And they're like, but what I mean by that is Fandango should have gotten a push. Don't forget, people said that shit. People said, I can't believe that John Cena is the champion. Fandango should get a push. And then everyone forgot about Fandango because nobody actually believed that shit, right? Now this continues to happen, but it manifests in slightly different ways, right? I'll give you this anecdote. The Academy Awards around 2003, 2004, I don't remember the exact year, were coming. And the hater was talking to his grandma. I miss you, grandma, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking to my grandma, and we were talking about the movies, and I'm like, these are the movies that are nominated. And my grandma says, well, we've seen 2 or 3 of those, grandson. And I said, yeah. And she said, none of them were good. And I said, yeah, that's true, grandma, but someone has to win the award because it's the Oscars, right? And she said, no, they don't. And basically, my grandma, just like your boy, is built different, right? We don't ascribe to this weird-ass American mentality that just because someone is first in a race of losers, that person becomes a winner. No. It's the same thing. If this movie, my grandma was saying basically, if the best movie of the year is not a good movie, it doesn't matter if it's the best movie of the year. Sure, it can be the best movie of the year. You can have this meaningless award. But it doesn't mean anything, right? It's the same thing with wrestling. With wrestling, people will let's look at NXT and AEW. 2 developmental leagues, if you ask me, right? In AEW, you've got Sammy Guevara. You can literally go back to the first video on my channel, and you will see that in this video, I say Sammy Guevara sucks, right? And I pretty much say this guy's a jobber. Now, he can put on a good match, no doubt about it, but who cares, right? That doesn't really make any difference to your boy. He's never going to be a star, and I was right? Obviously, he never was a star, and I think it's too late for him to be a star. It's been like 6 years, he's done nothing. But anyways, I digress, right? On the other side of the coin, in NXT, for the sake of consistency, let's look at Obafemi, right? A lot of people keep commenting on my videos every time I mention this guy, and they're like one of you, I forget who it was. And I like all of you. No, I like all of you except for one person. I'm going to get to him in a second. But a lot of people in the video commented, and one of you said, Obafemi is a star, period. No. Just because you write the word period out, you spell that out, doesn't mean that it's a fact, right? He's not a star, and I don't think he ever will be. The reality is he's definitely not a star. Like, right now, not a star at all. Nobody fucking knows who he is, right? Like, you could go to, a random wrestling show. Like, I could go to, a local indie fed and be like, who's this guy? And most people wouldn't know that it's Obafemi. You know what I mean? That he's not even known amongst wrestling fans. But that's neither here nor there. The thing that I find interesting is that instead of just saying it like it is, right? In NXT and in AEW, there just aren't any good wrestlers right now. It's that simple, right? I mean, in AEW, there's a few, but they're not really there. They're there in name only, right? So you got Brian Cage, Wardlow, the usuals, Powerhouse Hobbs. That's Christian and Edge, of course, but talking about the younger guys, right? The people that might become stars. That's pretty much it. Darby Allin, you can make an argument, That's basically it. Everyone else just kind of sucks, right? But it's hard to say that, right? Just like it's hard for the Academy Awards to say, hey, all the movies suck this year, there's no Academy Awards, right? It's the same thing. But wrestling fans want there to be something good, right? So they see something good where there's nothing good. The fact of the matter is, you can spin whoever you want. Trick Williams, Ethan Page, and Obafemi are not stars, right? They're never gonna be stars. Just accept that, right? It's just the reality. But people don't want to. They like to live in a world where they can pretend that these guys are stars or that they will be stars. And that's fine by me. Like I keep saying to people, you'll see when Obafemi is teaming with Baron Corbin in a few years. You'll see. And I'll be right here telling you I was right, right? They'll probably team up with like Karrion Kross or something. Someone else who's never amounted to anything, right? Now, when I say these things, a lot of people get pissed off because wrestling fans are very weird. And they're just very weird. They're very fickle, right? But everyone that commented was cool. Except for this one guy. I swear to God, if I remembered his name, I would say it right now. I actually responded with a bunch of like insults to this guy because he pissed me off. But YouTube deleted my comment from my own video. Ain't that about a bitch, right? This guy basically said, the comment's probably still there somewhere. He said, I'm beginning to think, pause. That statement right there, when you start a sentence with I'm beginning to think, it's annoying, right? Because it's almost like the implications are almost like I have to say it a certain way just so this guy doesn't begin to think that he's discovered something. Like I give a flying fuck about what anybody thinks. You know what I'm saying? The hater does it for himself, and it's been like that since day one. Now the hater loves and appreciates his fans, right? Shout out to all of y'alls. But let's not get it twisted. The hater does it for himself. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I also do it for the people, but you know what I'm getting at. I'm not gonna compromise my beliefs or my opinions because someone doesn't agree. I don't think even you guys would want me to do that, right? You want me to be the hater. You want me to be who I am, cuts, right? But people have this weird thing. Like people will be like, hey man, like they don't even say, can you make this video or please make this video. They're like, hey man, like make this video on this. And so like one of them, someone was like, hey, I told you to make this video like this. I know they didn't mean it in a bad way, but I'm like, nobody tells me what to do. You fucking kidding me? You know what I'm saying? But this guy, he said, I'm beginning to think that you don't like Obafemi because of his color. Now, normally, the hater doesn't care about these things because I have zero guilt, right? I do not come from America. I mean, I've been here for like a minute since I was 9, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely like as American as the rest of y'all's, but my mentality is different, right? I'm not one of these white people that you guys are familiar with, that are nervous around you, that for some reason feel like they should be, you know, shaken up and feel like they're some sort of guilt, right? In America, that's how it is. That's the sense that I get, at least, right? A lot of white Americans, they're always like nervous and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like as if they did some shit, but that's how it is, right? You know, people say America's racist, America's this, America's that. And this has bled to the point now where someone like me, who I could give a shit about what someone's race is, as I've said many times, I like Lashley, I like Booker T, I like Powerhouse Hobbs, he's new, you know what I mean? But this guy says, oh, the only reason that I could not like Obafemi is because of his color, right? Now, the problem with this guy, and I don't want to make this video about him, the video is about the sentiment generally, right? The video is about the wrestling fan mentality. But the argument here is as follows, right? I have many reasons why I don't like Obafemi, and don't worry, stick around for a few seconds, I'm going to tell them to you. But the idea, right, the notion that the only explanation must be because of his color is something that only a pussy would say. Like, I don't need to know who this guy is that wrote this comment, but I know that in the real world, right, in the real world, this guy would never look me in the eye. I know people like him because they're people that can't take criticism, right? They get a criticism and they're like, oh, it must be because you don't like my race or my gender or my sexual orientation. Well, here's the truth, motherfucks. The hater doesn't live in that make-believe fantasy land, right? The hater knows how the world works. There are bad black people. There are bad gay people. There are bad white people. There are bad people of any sort, right? And I'm not going to just give. And honestly, it's racist and disrespectful for someone to expect me to basically give bonus points to Obafemi, who in my opinion is no better than Kevin Owens, maybe a little bit better than Kevin Owens, right? To give him bonus points just because he's black. Because that's what statements like that call for, right? It's a bully tactic. But that guy cannot bully someone like me in any capacity. On the internet, in the real world, sure as hell not, right? The way that it works is like this, right? People have this opinion, right? Where it's like, the only explanation must be you must be a racist because he's excellent. Gee, what about the fact that he just looks like Kofi Kingston ate Kofi Kingston? He's just Kofi Kingston twice the size. Gee, what about the fact that I saw him and one of you this is what I like. I think it's Paul Carpenter or something. He's like, bro, have you even watched Obafemi? Serious question. And I did. I watched him on NXT against Hammerstone. So I will say this. He's bigger than Hammerstone, but Hammerstone is chiseled out of stone, right? His Hammerstone has like no body fat. Obafemi is fat. He's basically a fat Kofi Kingston that's a little bit taller, except he doesn't do the cool things and doesn't have the natural charisma of Kofi Kingston, which isn't saying much because Kofi Kingston is not this charismatic guy, right? That's what he is. He's just a fat guy. I see Obafemi, I'm like, this is the guy people are clamoring about. He's a fat douche. You know what I mean? This guy, and that's what I told the person in the post. I'm like, someone this fat has never been a star. Like, there's not one. There's not one guy that's been that fat and been a WWE star. Every WWE star looks like a superhero, right? You got like Orton, Lashley, Cena, Lesnar, The Rock, Stone Cold, which people corrected me saying he had a great physique. He's like the worst physique of a WWE star ever, right? And he was jacked in many ways. In my opinion, he didn't have the physique either, but what it is, right? Like Batista, fucking, even Kane to a certain extent. You have to have a great physique. You can't be fat. Now, yeah, of course, if Obafemi starts looking 20 years younger and loses 25 pounds and then gets a personality and does these things, then yeah, maybe. If you change everything about him, but then again, if Tozawa grows 3 feet, maybe he'll be a WWE champion. Maybe he'll be a legend. See what I'm saying? But that really pissed me off. Now, I want to point out one thing. It didn't piss me off because of the race baiting element. Because like I said, I don't give a flying fuck. I know that I'm not a racist. And quite frankly, if you don't understand that, you're just stupid. I mean, it's as simple as that. But the bully tactic is what pissed me off. This entitlement, which could only be done by an American. And I love Americans, but this can only be done by Americans. And I don't want to offend any of you Americans because I live in this country and I love this country very dearly. But let's be real. Americans, generally speaking, are a little bit soft, right? Like even the hard Americans are a little bit soft, right? It's always like gangs fighting gangs. It's always like, oh, I'm the tough guy in school, but the whole football team is behind me. You don't have this mentality of a one-on-one. You don't have you don't have a savage mentality. And that's what I think is missing, from wrestling as well, right? That's why Obafemi and people that aren't Americans are doing so well, right? Because there's this pussy-ass mentality that exists in America that is kind of plaguing the country a little bit, right? And this is not like, I know people want to say, the pussification of our men. It's been like this for a while. Like, let me tell you something. When I go back home, and my country's been to wars, motherfuckers. I do not come from one of these, like, Switzerland, like that kind of shit. We've been to wars. I never even heard of PTSD. The hater rolls with a lot of soldiers, actually. And I know a lot of combat guys, combat vets. I'm talking about people that have killed people, right? And they don't have PTSD. Or they have it, but they tolerate it, right? Now, I'm not saying if you have PTSD, definitely go take care of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't hold it in. But I also know a lot of army people that have never picked up a gun, and all they talk about is the army and PTSD, right? It's a very, very American thing, right? It's a lot of soft-ass shit in America, They're like, oh, one time I went to Afghanistan and I was a mechanic, and now I have PTSD for 20 years. Get over it. Straight up, get over it. Now, before people start saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do, motherfucks. I've seen some shit. I've seen shit that if these people saw it, man, it'd be a wrap. I've seen some things, let me tell you, But the hater isn't one of those people. I'm not going to be like, oh, this traumatized me. If it did, I'd take care of it. But it didn't, right? Because that's not how my culture is. In America, everybody's got a trauma. There's something wrong with everybody, right? So then it becomes very easy to tell other people, oh, you must dislike Obafemi because there's something wrong with you, in the sense that you must be a racist. Why can't it be that there's something wrong with Obafemi? Why do I have to be a racist for not liking Obafemi? Am I supposed to just like all black wrestlers because they're black? Well, I got news for you, pal. Some black wrestlers are shit. They're not good at what they do. What do you think of them apples? See, even now, right? People might expect me to say, oh, now he said some black wrestlers are bad. He needs to say that some white wrestlers and some Asian wrestlers are bad too, to balance it out. Now, of course that's true. And it's not some. Most wrestlers are shit. So there's nothing wrong with someone saying Obafemi's shit. The alternative is to just basically look it up on the chart and be like, oh, Obafemi, he's black, so I have to love him. I have to say he's better than he is. No, motherfucks. The haters channel isn't about that. The haters channel isn't about pretending someone is good because they fit into the right, minority category. Or even if they're white. You know what I'm saying? What, the hater is white. Does that mean I like all white wrestlers? Does that mean that the hater likes Nathan Frazier? Have you lost your fucking mind? I haven't lost my mind. I'm not liking Nathan Frazier cut. See what I'm saying? And that's the problem. The problem is fickle-ass wrestling fans, and largely, and I can speak to this because, like I said, I do live in America, and a largely pussy-ass American culture where everyone's afraid of everything, right, have led to these things, right, where they don't even know what to push anymore. They don't even know what's going to make someone happy, right? They don't know what's too far, what's not good, what's not bad. And here's a great example. And this is great because this kills a lot of birds with one stone. There's a wrestler in NXT. He's the only one that has star power, in my opinion, in NXT. And he may have even been fired. But his name is Quincy Elliott, motherfucks. Go look up Quincy Elliott. The gimmick is he's an obese black guy whose gimmick, he's a guy, keep that in mind, whose gimmick is he's a diva. I saw this guy wrestle once. He's got crazy charisma. He doesn't have a great moveset because he's just a fat ass, right? But like still, I'm like, this guy can be a star. This guy, if he's more athletic than Viscera, like Viscera should have probably been like a bigger star than he was, right? He could be like that, right? And he's got such an interesting gimmick because he's like this flamboyantly gay, obese guy who goes by the diva or something like that, right? And I'm like, this is what we need. This is the kind of stuff that we need. Now I know you're thinking, hater, that's kind of weird. You like this, but it's a little gay, and the guy's black. That's right, motherfucks, because haters don't give a shit. I like good, and I don't like bad. I like good, and I don't like evil. I like good, and I don't like boring. You see what I'm saying? But Quincy Elliott's not boring. Push him, How come nobody clamored for him? He even has a gimmick. But they think that Kofi Kingston ×2 and fucking pretend Eddie Guerrero, number 19, Sammy Guevara, that these guys are the future? Like, how many times do we hear that shit? Sammy Guevara's another one of these Humberto Carrillo types, where he comes out and people are like, oh, this guy reminds me of Eddie Guerrero. No, he doesn't. And then Obafemi, they're like, this guy's great. He's just two Kofi Kingstons. He looks like him. He's got the same haircut and the same expressions when Kofi Kingston gets like angry. Same expressions, right? And it's like, and why wouldn't he? Because Kofi Kingston nor him are like actors. They just tell him, go be angry. They're like, oh, okay, I'll be angry. Same expression as Kofi. Same expression as Karrion Kross. What am I gonna watch here, At least Obafemi has an interesting accent. That might make him a bit more, that might give him a boost. But I don't give a fuck. You know what? And to be honest, because this person brought race into the equation for absolutely no reason, and, the hater doesn't play that kind of game. Now, I went from liking Obafemi to now I hope Obafemi fails miserably, only so that this guy, who's a big fan of Obafemi, can feel disenchanted. Only so his day can be ruined a little bit for trying to make everything about race. With that being said, cucks, take care of yourselves. Whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Indian, that's not a thing. Someone once, in one of my videos, real quick, tangent, false finish, cucks, false finish. You thought the video was about to end? It is, but I got another minute in me. Some guy, he apologized later, so he's cool. He wrote a comment on my video, and he said, hey man, can you please start saying Native American instead of Indian? And I said to him, interesting, because I was talking about Indians from the country of India, right? Oh, look at that. And I like this guy, whoever you are, if you're still around, I like you, so don't take this to heart. But look at that. It looks like your own racial, proclivities led you to believe that I was saying something racist. I was talking about Indians from India, and he assumed automatically, right? Without even understanding without even entertaining the possibility that he could be wrong, he's like, oh, the haters should say Native Americans because I've been taught that you should say Native Americans. Now when you're talking about Indians, motherfucks, I ain't Columbus, you dig? So with that being said, cucks, that was the false finish, and this is now the 1, 2, 3. Maybe that's gonna be my new gimmick, my new catchphrase. This is now the 1, 2, 3, cucks.